right, good people, greetings to you all. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you so much for finding the time once again to be part of the evening show, the daily roundup show. But today's on is going to be very unique, a bit unique maybe, because it's going to be a predicted lineup show with some news that we'll have to take care of. But that's, by the way, let me say hello to those in the chat already. Um, yeah, if the panelists have time, I will be accommodating them one by one, two panelists at a time. There you go. We have the three, four, three dilemma. Rahayu, how are you doing, bro? Let's go. Yes, welcome back to the evening show. If you're watching, if you haven't, take a second, drop a like on the stream, and also do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Remember, the evening show will only hold those on those days, only on the days where you don't have European nights or evening football, because some of us like to watch a football. If that makes sense. Here we go. Sorry about the cough. Hello to you too, JC. I hope you're doing well. I like the way Potter changes the formation. He should use it. We'll continue to win. I cannot wait to have Kante back. I miss him, the Maya. I hope you're doing well, and you changing your name back. Francis Winters, big up to you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. I appreciate that. And for those of you that are watching but cannot join us here, I appreciate your support. But I want you to do us one more tiny bitty favor. If you can, take a second just to drop a like on the stream. The likes will go a long way. So thank you so much for doing that. Big up, Coach Namaya. Big up to you too. I appreciate you finding time to join us. Smash the like button, people. Guess what? 10 likes. Let's get it up. Let's get the likes up so that more people can join us. And if you can, take a second, share the link on whatever social media where you have private platform, so that whatever social media platforms where you have presence, so that more people can join us and we can have more fun. Courtney Coachilla, big up to you too, Courtney. I hope you're doing well. Diggs says hello, Coach. Hello to you too, Diggs. I appreciate all of you finding the time to join the show this evening. Let's get into it right away. I think this is the wrong one, is it? Let me see if that's okay. That's the correct one. But we're starting with these. Reece James will not make the game against Leicester City due to illness. According to Graham Potter, Reece has been ill and has not trained today. He will not make the game tomorrow. So in this case, it's not as some people, maybe as a lot of us thought in the morning, that it was an injury. So it wasn't. He's ill. That's natural. The good thing is that it's not an injury. But that had been the case, then we'd be arguing now that he is injury prone. But it's a good thing he's just ill. So I believe he's recover just in time from probably the Everton game. Hello to you too, JC. I hope you're doing well. So the question is, if Reece isn't going to be available for selection tomorrow, who plays in his stead? And that's a good question. To me, the answer is simple. It is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Yep, we understand the importance of Reece. But since, again, for a while now, whenever Cesar Paqueta gets to play in the right wing back position, he hasn't done well as he usually does when he plays in the right back position, the full back position. So I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek will most likely be the one to start in that position tomorrow. And that's because Noni Mudryk, I don't believe, has been drilled to operate from that deep. Who else? I think maybe, what's his name? Hakim Ziyech, he's played there before, but I don't think he will. I think it will most likely be Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Whenever he's played there, even though traditionally he's an 8, he's done quite well. And I think he understands the role quite well. Under Thomas Tuchel, he's played there. Under Graham Potter, he's played there, which his primary responsibility is to help overload the midfield area and the attacking area. So I see him starting in that position tomorrow. Now, the question is this. If he starts there, yeah, let's just leave it at that. I think he starts there, and it makes sense for him to be the one starting there, given that he's played there before. James is just being rested. That's how I see it. But why would the manager go to the extent of saying that he's ill? Why not use the language rest? Why not say he's being rested for the next game? And we will understand. I don't get it. If that's not the case and he's telling us that he's ill, I don't think it's a good thing, really. I don't think it's a good thing to lie about it. Just tell us he's being rested. He's done that before. and all we can do is talk or maybe disagree and not be happy that he's resting players when we think they should be very hard at work getting ready for the next game because we've been in poor form of late. But yeah, I wouldn't look too much into that. You're very correct. Reece James will most likely, Loftus-Cheek will be most likely be the one to play in that right wing back position. Because Azpilicueta isn't available. Had he been available, I suspect maybe, just maybe, he'd be the one to play. But even if he's available, I still think since it's the right one, it's most likely going to be a back three structure. Ruben Loftus-Cheek will most likely be the one to start there. Let's see. Once more, again, it's not over yet. It's still still the 10th for me, so I still want to say happy birthday to our beloved club, 118 years old. Wow. But yeah, the number makes it sound like it's an old club, but it's not a human being. So in this sense, the older the better. The more we have won, and I wish we continue to be successful. Gabriel A says, "Hi, coach, and everyone. I have a horrible feeling the 2 wins will go to Potter's head, and he will go back to a back four and make some weird selection, which causes us to not win. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong too. But here's the thing. I think the issues we've had before he switched to a back three isn't really necessarily down to structure. But I'm not going to go into details. We decided, or he decided, to try out the back three structure as he searched for solutions to the problems. That doesn't necessarily mean things could have. We would have actually turned things around for a long before now had he switched to a back three. I don't think that's the case. But that's, by the way, we move on from that one. And this one here, it says, where is Kante? He hasn't recovered fully. And I don't want it to be a case of, as it has always been in the past, where the case is the slightest he recovers from an injury. They say that the French national team calls him back and starts him in the game, or restart him in the game, because, yeah, he's been that important to us and the French national team. So right now, I think the club probably have learned, or maybe looked at his situation and seen, and has figured out the reason why he's been going through this trained series of injuries is because we usually don't give him enough time to recover fully. We just want to pull him back into the fold because he's that important to us. I hope they handle him carefully this time, give him enough time to recover. It's a good thing, I think, after the Everton game, then it will be about 2 weeks break or so, or I don't know how long, but that would be good for him to recover fully. Before anything, what we have here, Reece played a beat conserved against Dortmund. Maybe that tackle from Bellingham. I don't think so. We were told, and I know you've heard that yourself, that he's ill. They didn't say it's an injury. So yeah, I'm really not concerned. Fabrizio Romano retweeted an article from the Atletico FC Barcelona charged with corruption over payments to former referees. Referees chief 2009 Champions League, 2009 Champions League, looking even more suspicious. Wow. I saw that article. My friend Dan, I think, retweeted it with a quote, with something to the effect of, "There's nothing this club wouldn't do to get ahead." And I didn't click through the article to read it. I thought maybe it has to do with how much they spent on players. I didn't know it's gotten to the extent of paying off referees. Well, that is some concerning news. They say, and also they say, you're not guilty until proven. Until you're proven. Yep. Let me just phrase it like that. But let's see what happens. We'll follow the story and see how they deal with that. It's kind of nice to see you. More importantly, I hope work is going well. I see you still have the Osimhen avatar. Yeah, thank you. Let me see what else we have here. If we play Kante now, he surely will be called up by Deschamps. Oh, you bet it. You bet it. Deschamps also will be reluctant to call him, because if he does now, we'll say no. He still needs time to recover fully. So, but if we play him tomorrow, most definitely You can't. There's no excuse that you bring up that'll make them feel like, okay, you know what? Let's give him more time. But that's by the way. And here's my bro, Alec Blue. Nice to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. How you did, Coach, my brother? I did well, my bro. I know we complain. I thank God for everything. Any day above ground, it's a good day. So thank you so much for asking. Yep. What else do we have here? Let's look at something else we have here. Yeah, Reece. He says Reece has been ill and has not trained today. He will not make the game tomorrow. And when we looked at when we talked about who we think will deputize for him or will come in and get the job done for us, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is the most obvious at this point. He's played in that position and actually enjoyed it the way he applied himself on occasions when he's played there. It's enjoyable to see. He says, looks like I'm late. No, you're not late. We're just 17 minutes into the show. And also, it's a new show every evening at 9 p.m. UK time. What we do during this show is to round up everything that's been said about Chelsea Football Club in the news and then present it to people and have a conversation with them. But today's own is a bit unique in the sense that we're trying to pick Graham Potter's brain, or maybe to correctly predict his selection for tomorrow's game, if that makes sense. Well, always nice to see you, brother. Barcelona paid $1 million per year to the referee association, head as a consultancy role. It doesn't make sense. As a consultancy role, the role was to provide stats on different referees, very dubious and too large a fee. Wow. Yeah, I think they have to be punished severely at this time, because if they don't, lots of other clubs will be asking questions why that isn't the case. Yeah, they deserve to be punished, really. But they say, yeah, as the old saying goes, you're not guilty until proven otherwise. But let's see where we go from there. The other one is Raheem Sterling. He's not available for tomorrow's game, but that's, by the way, we'll come back to this in a bit. He's not available too, which begs the question: what is Graham Potter gonna do? Is he going to give Noni Madueke the opportunity to start? I think that's what makes sense to me, but I'm not sure what he's going to do. It seems like he's reverted to trusting the old heads or the old guards or the more experienced players more than the younger players, because they're easy to deal with in such situations. They're easy to explain the tactics, and they will, be able to execute it on the pitch easier than the younger players. But we're not sure what he's going to do. To me, Raheem's absence, to me, means if he were up to me, I'd start Noni Madueke. He's shown he can actually execute that role, but it differs this time. It differs because it's not going to be. It will be applied. The application will be different, given that we're not going to see. It will be more like a forward role on the 2-8 position. So it'd be interesting to see whether he starts him. But I'm sure he's well equipped to execute that role, whether as a forward or as one of the 2-8s. Depends on the structure we see tomorrow. But most definitely, it's going to be a back three structure. What else do we have? I am not late. Nice. I thought you were rounded up for. No, we still have more than an hour to go. Actually, good to be here. Always nice to see you, brother. And if you have time, if you want to get onto the panel, I take one panelist at a time. For this particular show, I haven't decided whether I will be taking the multiple panelists at the same time. But if you have time, I'd accommodate you. So you let me know. Let's see what we have here. Will Noni do well against a Leicester fullback? I think he will. I'd rather Noni than Hakim Ziyech, because the other option will most likely be Ziyech. Here's why I prefer Noni. In the case if Ziyech starts, he does well when we're playing against teams that play a high line. He needs a space to be able. I know he's one of the best passers in the team. He has good vision, and if he can make that run, Ziyech will most definitely find you. But here's the thing: if he can't find space in behind the opposition line, he struggles, and that's when Noni comes in. So if Graham Potter suspects that Leicester City will come at us, if he suspects that they're not going to defend deep, then he will most likely start Hakim Ziyech. And his plus, like I've said, I've established before, he prefers the established heads at this point because you can say they're the ones that actually helped him overcome the bad run of form. Hopefully, we'll make it 3 on the bounce tomorrow. But it's difficult to say what's going to happen. I don't trust this team that much. But the truth remains, we have players capable of helping us get all 3 points tomorrow and make it 3 wins in a row. But let's see what I think he'd do well because he likes to carry the ball and he's a good dribbler too. So when opposition defenders defend deep, Ziyech seem to struggle. But when there's space for him to orchestrate those long, beautiful passes, he does well. But we're not sure how Leicester are going to play tomorrow. I expect Ruben to play in the right wing back position. That's the truth. But I want to get your thoughts. What you think Graham Potter would do with regards to the absence of Raheem Sterling? Do you think he'd make moves to accommodate? Do you think he'd start Noni Madueke, or do you think he'd go with Hakim Ziyech? I want to get your thoughts. It'd be interesting to see what he does. And yes, people, if you're watching, if you haven't, please keep dropping the likes on the stream to help us, get it to at least 50 by the time the show ends. Yep, thank you so much for always finding the time to join the show. Sincerely appreciate that. Yep, let's get it to 11,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So other than that, I don't have any other thing to talk about here. Okay, this one here, it's another interesting topic. But while we read this, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on what you think Graham Potter will do in the absence of Raheem Sterling. Do you think he'd give Noni Madueke a chance, or do you think he'd start Hakim Ziyech? I want to know your thoughts. Big up to you, Eugene Naughty. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for finding the time to join the show. That will go a long way. I think Graham Potter would do a 3-4-3 as usual. Okay. Both Ziyech and Noni starting. Wow, can you further elaborate? Elaborate further, please. If Noni and Ziyech start, where does Ziyech start and where does Noni start? I don't think we would see them both start. If we see them both start, which means Graham Potter is going to be resting either Kai Havertz or either Kai Havertz or who is there? Yep, either Kai Havertz or what's his name, or João Felix. But I don't think he'd rest João Felix now that we're missing one experienced head in the front three. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we'll go into the lineup building exercise in a bit. Then we can be looking at the structure of why we select the players, analyzing select the players, if that makes sense. Big up, Eugene. I appreciate you. I think Badiashile will play for sure, most definitely. There's a strong argument that he starts. I get it, Marco Correa did well, but here's the thing, Badiashile is excluded from the Champions League squad, and probably it wasn't easy for him to take. And now Correa starts in the Champions League. Yeah, he did quite well. You can't come back to the league again and tell Badiashile, you know what, I want you to sit this one out also because I want to start Correa in that position, which you could argue it probably apply himself better in that position than Cucurella can. But the only thing is that Cucurella operates more like a sweeper and cleans up after every other player in that defensive three, if that makes sense. But let's see what happens here. Let's see. I think the front three is going to be Mudryk, Felix, and Havertz. So yeah. Which means Noni isn't starting. If you say that's going to be the selection for the front three, it'd be difficult to see. But let's leave it a little bit until we'll get to the structure. We'll see. But I want you to tell me specifically who comes in place of Raheem Sterling, since he's not going to be available for the game tomorrow. I don't like idea with Dacho Fofana up front. Give him a chance. Give him a chance. And from the little I've seen, I think there's a good player in him. And given its numbers, I get it. The argument comes that it was in the Norwegian league, but the guy is a good player. The numbers he produced isn't a number of the sort of player you send out on loan. He completed, I think, 62 or 52 tackles, and then created 22 chances, and also 7 goals and 3 assists in just how many games in one season. He's a fine player, really. Just give him time. I get it. Some people say he's raw. But the truth remains, had we paid anything north of 30 to 40 million, we wouldn't be again, I think the manager will find way to accommodate him, if that makes sense. Havertz or Felix must play, either of the two, but I think one of them rests. But it's difficult to also say what's going to happen now that what's his name, Sterling will be out. It's difficult to say who the manager will accommodate in his place. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to bring Bobby in to start him off, taking back a bit to those things we've discussed to get his opinion. But let me see what I can get from the chat. Smash the like button, support the channel, people. We have 23 likes already. You people are absolute legends. Let's get it to 50 and 100 as soon as possible. Big up to you, Bobby. Somebody saying big up to you. I think he will go with Ziyech. Would have liked Mudryk to play, but he's better on the left, and that's where Felix will be playing tomorrow. If he decides to rest Kai Havertz, then Felix will most likely play centrally. But let's see what happens. Tomorrow is the time for Mudryk to show something. I think he does that. Badiashile at CB and Kukurea as left wing back. No, I don't think that happens. That will be too many, you can say, young players. We need an experienced head, such as, what's his name, Koulibaly, to lead the back line for us. I don't think that happens tomorrow. But if Mudryk is starting, coach, and Mudryk didn't show much chemistry, let me see. But if Mudryk is starting, who? You mean Kukurea and Mudryk didn't show much chemistry? Yep. But let's see what happens. Yeah, I understand your phone is trying to help you spell. I don't think that your Fofana's profile fits us. I think it does because he's not your stereotypical number 9. He has well equipped. He's a good dribbler. He can actually play on the flanks, both on the left hand side and on the right side centrally too. So just give him a chance. Give him a chance, bro. Bobby, big up to you and thank you so much for finding the time to be the first on the panel today. Bobby, I want to start you with this one here. Reece James will not make the game against Leicester City due to illness, according to Graham Potter. Reece has been and has not trained today. He will not make the game tomorrow. It wasn't again. If it was an injury, I'd say he's become injury prone. But it's an illness that happens to all of us. But your thoughts? Who do you think comes in for him?
It's a difficult one. Maybe Aspie or Chalobah.
But he has to. Not guaranteed to be. I don't think he'd be ready because concussion it takes a while. But go ahead with what you're saying.
Was he concussed or is it just a safety precaution?
No, I think he was. He was called that specifically.
But has he been clocked as injured? He hasn't. He hasn't said he's not in the squad.
Okay, so go ahead with what you're explaining.
Anyway, either he or Chalobah, he has to rotate the squad. And the key thing about the game tomorrow is that it will tell us whether we really have, gotten over the stagnancy or whether it was just a mirage. I believe we have. We should be able to rest or be without Sterling as James and as don't know who the other one is. It Mount and I think the squad should be enough. That's not underestimating Leicester. They'll be well prepared for this game, but we should be able to rotate the squad enough to deal with them. If I would rest even more players, I don't really, maybe Havertz as well, bring him on later or take him off early because he's played a lot. I think we need to avoid overplaying specific players so as to get out of the injury cycle that we were in. Yeah.
Here's the thing. You make a good argument, but here's where the problem lies here. I'm going to show. I think I need us to look at this before. Look at this here. We're talking about in a back three, and I don't think he goes back to a back four due to the absence of Thiago Silva. But he can still do that if he really wants to play with a back four structure. He can still do that. But with a back three structure, it is with an attacking intent, having wing backs. So that's why I think Ruben will be the most likely to come in here for Reece James. I don't think it's going to be Chalobah. But in the back four, that's where Chalobah will be the one to be selected because he's played there for him. Maybe that's the only area on the pitch where he trusts a Chalobah because I'm still arguing it doesn't look like he trusts him. So with a wing-back approach, I think, yeah, it's with an attacking intent, which means he'd prefer Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's fulfilled that role before and did excellent. He also helped overload the midfield and created clear-cut chances in the attacking area. So I think it will most likely be Ruben Loftus-Cheek rather than anyone else on the team right now. Maybe a winger, maybe start Ziyech there. I think he's experimented with Ziyech there, and he did well because if Ziyech starts here, he really have the space on the right channel here to operate because he needs space to be able to look up and find those long balls and everything. But once it's tight, he finds it difficult to operate. But we'll see what he does tomorrow. I wish again. I hope Reece recovers soon enough to be at least play against. I think the next game will be Everton. I hope he recovers well enough to be part of that game. I think he will. Probably the resting him was just a precautionary measure so that. But let's see. What they told us is that he's ill, so I'll take that. But that's, by the way, Datro Fofana is a good player. I think he is, but we have to give him a chance, and we need to see him. I think Bobby has also argued that before. We need to see him, and the little we're seeing, he's shown us that he has it in him. Yep, I get it a bit raw, but it takes practice to be perfect, which means more game time, the more he does better. We cannot say that Datro Fofana is good because he's done see. We haven't seen enough of him, but his profile doesn't fit. At least that's what you think, but I think otherwise. This is a good debate between you and I, but we'll see. I hope if he comes good and becomes and turns out he's a good player. I know you too well to know. I know you too well to know that you come back to say, Coach, yeah, you were right. Datro Fofana is a good player. I can see Mudryk going crazy against Leicester City. 2 goals in a 4-1 win. I'm very optimistic for this game. I hope that happens. I will take it. Let's see. Felix plays the number 9 position for Atletico and Portugal. Why don't we try him there? I think we've been playing him as a 10 because we've been lacking. We don't have a traditional 10 in our sport. But to me, I can say, yeah, as much as and from that number 10 role, actually, on occasions where he's played there, he hasn't created many chances. He's actually operated more like a 9. But I don't blame him because usually it's a fluid approach, which means they interchange positions. You can see sometimes you see him in the number 9 position, wide Kai, drop this on the flanks, right or left. So it doesn't really matter. The thing is that it's a fluid approach on the ground, Potter. So where he starts doesn't really matter. Let's see what we have here. They will probably start Felix on the left and corner on the right instead of Mudryk, Pulisic, or Noni. Like Roger would say, Graham Potter is predictably unpredictable. I hope they don't make a Fofana end up like Michy Batshuayi. We have a habit of doing that. I don't think that would be the case. Datro Fofana, I think, is a better player than Michy Batshuayi. But let's see what happens. Porter destroyed Mudryk confident. No, it hasn't happened. Porter didn't do anything to Mudryk. Mudryk hasn't played football, correct me if I'm wrong, for 6 months or so, or 3 months, and they were in the midst of preseason before we signed him. So he hasn't played, you can say, competitive football for a while. So he needs time. And the club, and Porter, given his what he said during his press conference, is actually working to help him. He knows he's a fine player. He knows he's such a talent. He's a world-class talent, and it's they have a program in place to help him come good, and I think that will happen. And Bobby says this once again, and yes, I want to talk about it. Happy birthday to Chelsea F.C. And I want us to do something that we did in the morning. Each of you in the chat, I want you to take some time and tell us your favorite Chelsea moment. I'd like to go through that once more this evening before we continue. So I will wait for you. One. Don't give me 2. Just give me one favorite. Your one. Let's pick one from all your Chelsea favorite moments. Pick one, present it in the chat, and it'd be interesting to see. For me, I think the first time we won the Champions League. Yeah, that in 2012. That's my favorite Chelsea moment. But we also, I know it differs for all of us. So I want to get yours. I want to read it. And let's see what we have here. Coach, also, Ukraine-Russia war might affect Mudryk's state of mind. Perfectly put. He has family there. I'm sure he didn't bring all his family or siblings or extended family to the UK. I'm sure he didn't do that. So, yeah, those things, he's a human being. He has, it makes sense to mention that. Bobby, before we continue, I want to hear your favorite Chelsea moment. We're still getting to building the lineup in a bit, but I know you followed Chelsea for a while. I don't know, but I know you have plenty of favorite Chelsea moments, but I want to get one from you. If
Wow,
you're there,
that's very difficult for me, Coach. There's so many.
you have to pick one this evening. I
Wow,
know.
that's
You have to pick one, Bobby.
you know, the Champions Leagues were very, very special, both of them. Oh gosh, I don't think anything really captivated me more than the two Champions Leagues. Honestly, that
Mhm.
they were the height of emotions. But just for symbolism, I think our first World Club Cup. I know nobody else is going to mention it, so I'll give it a mention.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll take that as a moment.
I think it's a special moment, given that that was the first one, and you've seen the second Champions League, so that makes sense to pick. It makes sense to pick that one. For me, it remains our first Champions League win in 2012. So happy birthday again to our beautiful club, one of the best club in the whole world. Actually, ask me why I say that, and we'll argue tomorrow. All I know is Chelsea is the best club in the world. Big up to you too, Keshan, the New York guy. I hope you're doing well. And when will Kante play? They say mid-March. So we're not mid-March yet. Mid-March should be around the 13th to 14th or 15th. So we're not mid-March yet. Big up New York guy. Happy to see you. My favorite moment when Jova scored the towering header against Bayern Munich, getting an equalizer after that goal that Thomas Muller scored to make it 1-1. The rest is a history. I think that's a beautiful moment. Thank you for sharing that with us. The 343 dilemma. I sincerely do appreciate that. And Bailey said my favorite Chelsea moment was the second UEFA Champions League we won. I didn't watch the first. Watched the replays though a lot. Yeah, I understand. The second one is also special. But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Eugene Naughty, I think you said this in the morning, yes, but I want to say it once more because we're still celebrating the birthday of our beloved club. It is still 1 p.m., the same date for us here. Torres against Barca, semifinals, the Heath Lord, what's his name? Victor Valdes, to score that goal that one of the Neves were screamed on top of his lungs. And that's iconic, really. His commentary that day, I think I will never forget that. That celebration, never forget. So thank you so much. I'm going to go back to Bobby, and let's talk about this one here, Bobby. This is with regards to Mason Mount. It's a ground butter statement on Mason Mount. It's a ground butter on Mason Mount contract situation. Ultimately, it is between the club and Mason, but I have spoken to him numerous times about this situation, football and life generally. My feeling for Mason are clear. He is a fantastic person first, but sometimes these things happen. They are just complicated, and it is best that I speak little about it. Let them get on with it. Let them get on with it in deciding what is right for both parties. I think he's a smart man, really. See how he just made it clear that it's not up to him. I usually think maybe if the manager wants to play the state, the club will do everything to keep him. But I don't know. I haven't worked for a club before. But Bobby, the question is this: what do you make of this comment from Graham Potter? What do you learn from? What are you learning from it? To me, I'd say he didn't say anything as I want him to keep. I want to keep Mason Mount. Just like Thomas Tuchel would say, he wants to keep Rudiger. He wants to keep Andres Christensen. But clearly here, he didn't say anywhere that he wants to keep Mason Mount. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're reading it differently, I want to hear your thoughts on this comment from Graham Potter. Okay, I'm going to wait for Bobby. Once he comes in, I'll stop reading. But if you're in the chat, I want to get your thoughts. Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it means anything more than what he said. It's as simple as that. And come summer, they'll start to talk again. That's where it is. It's not signed. He's looking to do what's best for him. The club is looking to do what's best for the club. That doesn't mean to say he won't sign a new contract. I think, fans, we can read sometimes too much into these things. We won't know the outcome until the summer. There's still Kante's contract to be signed as well. That's not yet done. Doesn't mean to say it's not going to be done. It's just that the publicity being given to it is more positive than Mason's. But he could sign. He could well sign. I think if rumor has it, the problem is just about the length of contract. And that can be resolved if there's a will to do so.
In your opinion, what do you think happens, Bobby?
I think he'll sign a new contract.
Okay, just remember I told you I don't think he signs from what we're hearing. Because the last stuff we saw, but there's no way to confirm that's indeed that what they're saying is indeed the case. They're saying he rejected a 180,000 a week per week contract, 180,000 pounds per week contract. To me, offering him 180 doesn't sound like the club really wants. They don't want to keep him because Reece is on 200 plus right now. So I don't think Mason accepts anything like that. I think he's going to move on, unfortunately. But let's see where we go from that. That's, by the way, I want to get the thoughts of those in the chat. Your thoughts on the Mason Mount situation. Do you think he leaves? Do you think he stays? Soon after that, then we get into predicting the lineup prediction exercise. But I'll wait to get your thoughts on what you think happens, whether you think Mason Mount stays or whether you think he leaves. And thank you for how many likes right now do we have? We have 30 likes, and we can, let's get it up, people. Let's get it up to 50 and 100 before the show ends. We still have a bit of time to go, about 1 hour more to go. That celebration, never forget. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I appreciate that. For me, it's Kami says, my favorite moment was a preseason friendly between Rangers and Chelsea. Only time I've been able to see Chelsea play live as I was in the stadium. Wow. I've seen Chelsea in New York. I've seen Chelsea play in Las Vegas here. I think I've seen Chelsea in Jersey also 3 times in the US. But I still peaked at the 2012 UEFA Champions League. But also, there are other moments I like. If I'm allowed to mention a second, but let me not mention a second, since the rule is just pick one. But that's a good one for you. From an individual perspective, it makes sense. Because you're a Rangers fan too, right? Didn't you say that? I want to know. Mason Mount, mostly, we are a team that want to fight for trophies every season. His average. Again, in your opinion, yes. So I don't think he's a bad player, and I don't think he's the best player at the club, and I don't think he's the worst. But do I think? No, I wouldn't go to the extent of saying he's average, because I'm sure all of us, even those that are calling the average, were those raving when his performance in the Champions League final, that goal against Real Madrid, and that free kick against Wolves that helped us, as they call, secure Champions League football the following season. I'm sure lots of us were raving about that. And because now he's out of form, a lot of us think he's average. I'm not sure that's your case. I know you usually like to be objective, but that's how you see it, and that's your opinion. That's just what I'm trying to say here. That's a yes man way of saying things. It's just saying, I have no say in this. Why don't you ask the owner? You can't argue that, because here's the thing. The only thing I get here, for me, how I see it, how I interpret this, is that he doesn't want the player. and I've made let me read it again. He says again, a ground Porter on Mason Mount's contract situation. This is ultimately it's between the club and Mason. Ultimately, but I have spoken to him numerous times about his situation of football and life generally. Even if he meant to convey the message here by adding the word football here that he wants to keep him, I don't think it comes across as that's the case, really. And then he says, my feelings for Mason are clear. He is a fantastic person.
But
Firstly, yeah.
coach, he hasn't said anything that isn't
Mhm.
true.
No, I'm saying, yeah,
Ultimately, it's
I know.
down to
I'm
Mason.
just. Go ahead, go ahead.
Well, ultimately, it's down to Mason and the club. You
And
know,
that's the truth.
he can only do so much
Hmm. Hmm.
as a coach, and you know, if he is not even sure of his position, not to mention Mason Mount, but I think
So
if he's
that's the
still at
truth.
the
But
club,
Bobby, don't you think? Doesn't he have the right to say it? But I want him to stay, just like Thomas Tuchel said about Andreas Christensen and what's his name? But Rudiger. I want
yeah,
him to
but if the
stay.
club has other plans, like in Thomas Tuchel's case, the club
Hmm.
didn't want them, you know, didn't really want to push hard until it was, you know, almost impossible for them to do that. You know,
Hmm.
if the club has other plans, what can he do? I
Hmm.
don't think he's said anything. He's not given us any sort of major insight or anything. This won't be resolved until the summer, where the club said they're going to review the situation.
Hmm.
It's as simple as that. And he could well sign the contract then, or he gets sold. It's not. I don't. I'm not looking at anything in between these lines at all, personally.
Yeah, here's the thing. What you said that makes sense. Ultimately, it's between him and the club. You can interpret that to no matter what I think, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to if they come to an agreement, this area. So it's
Yeah,
open to interpretation, but I get what you mean. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that is absolutely true. You know, it doesn't matter what he thinks at this point.
Hmm.
It's between the club and Mason. You know, if it's true that it's about length of contract, then what can
Hmm.
Potter do about it? The club is trying to go in a certain direction, and it won't change course particularly. He knows
Hmm.
that. You know, that's partly why he's there as the manager, because they know he understands the project, as it were. So if, for example, the club is very rigid about players signing for at least 7 years, then it's a problem. It's up to Mason whether he'll take it or not. I mean, people talk about how much Reece James got in money, but Reece James signed a long contract, I think 7.5 years. So, you know, and so that helps the club with FFP. So if Mason is looking for the same money and wants less time, which will
It
become
becomes
a
difficult,
strain on
right?
FFP, of course, the club's going to say, well, we can't do that for this length of time because of the FFP. You know, the
Hmm.
club has a strong reason. That's why I I don't know. I really don't know. If it's money, if it's length of contract and money, then that makes sense. You know, he can't ask for what Reece James is getting for a lesser period of time. He
Hmm.
can't do that. The club will not agree to that because it's financially, you know, it's financially unfavorable to the club. As simple as
Yeah,
that. So we have to
yeah.
wait and see. I think the middle ground might be some sort of added clauses to do with image rights and things like that, which is also something that's been discussed. I can see him signing again, to be honest. At first, I didn't, but I thought, you know what?
But just remember, I told you it's more unlikely. They have to break the new rule, that their new structure, salary structure. They'd have to do something differently to accommodate him, which wouldn't make sense to a lot of the new players and some
No,
of the older players
the,
there.
the
Exactly. But go ahead.
accommodation will come with things like image rights.
Hmm.
He won't sign a shorter contract. It doesn't benefit the club unless he wants to take less money. Then fine. But if he wants a salary increase, he has to have that length of contract for them to stretch the payment. It's just logical. So, maybe he can do something, get some image rights, and all. He likes his TikTok dancing and all that sort of liberation. And maybe the club will say, okay, you can make some money, extra money that way.
He intentionally did that TikTok dancing just to troll Chelsea fans, really. I would
I
say
don't
that.
know what it's about. Yeah, it could be a bit of a wind up. I don't know if he's that.
Petty.
If he's that malicious or what I say.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think he did it. He does these things. If you look at Mason Mount's profile,
A lot of them do that. I've seen a lot of them. Some you won't believe are on TikTok too, doing a lot of some dance, trending dance moves and all that. Just linger, and a lot of them I've seen quite a few of them there doing
he
that.
does a lot of these things. I mean, there's one very famous post of him waking up Declan Rice and scaring him. So that's Mason. I don't read too much into that either.
Mhm.
I think the compromise with him would be in and around image rights, and if they can't reach that compromise, I don't think the club will hesitate in selling. I really don't, because then they will invest in another superstar. It would be a shame,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's why I believe eventually he'll sign. May, ultimately, Mason belongs at Chelsea. All these people talking about Liverpool and all that, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we just go there and sit on the bench and be frustrated as well. Chelsea is where he belongs, and he knows that. He's just trying to drive a hard bargain, and he'll take it to the wire and then sign. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I understand. Let's see what happens. Let me catch up with what we have in the chat. I'll come back to the panel where we're going to the lineup building exercise, except if Bobby has any news it's out there he wants to share with us. Let's see. And we don't need a replacement for no one. We buy 16 new players. I cannot inly accept Mbappe and Bellingham. You can only, I guess that's what you wanted to say there. But Gallagher, okay, I like and appreciate Mount, but he is like Tuchel are part of the past. Him and Tuchel are part of the past. Let's see what the club does. Thomas Pays, nice to see you again, brother. I hope you're doing well. It's Camille, yeah, coach. I am a Rangers fan. Always liked a Chelsea, though, as the two clubs have been forever linked as the Blues brothers. Thank you so much for saying that. Maybe I need to do more research to see how they're linked as the Blue brothers. But more importantly, much love to you and thanks for finding time to join. Felix and Kunku, all of them are choice before Mount also with central areas. I think also what will be important to Mount is to see where he fits in the team right now. Because if he sees the club are spending a lot of money in areas where he thinks that's where he gets to play, then he might well factor that into his decision to stay or not to stay. How did it go so bad for Mount? I hope he doesn't become another Dele Alli. I'm really worried about him. Look at the argument I've always made on his behalf, is this presented on his behalf maybe, is that from Lampard to Thomas Tuchel, they've always not looked beyond his industry. They've always not, those managers haven't looked beyond the amount of running he does on the pitch, his pressing. That's what they valued the most. That's what they valued the most. They didn't coach him well enough to reach his potential, because Mount just plays more a player that isn't technically gifted, but really he is technically endowed as a footballer, but because of how the managers have used him, he's becoming used to that. You only see flashes of technical brilliance from him every now and then, but not consistently. So the only time he was coached well was when he went on loan in the Dutch league. Then it wasn't much about running in and pressing and all that. But that's, by the way, we move on from that. That's a political answer by Potter. Yeah, being safe. Yeah, but it makes sense though if you look at it. I get where you're coming from, John Webb. They are all a choice before Mount because they are better players. Maybe club problems or money. Okay, let's keep it to Chelsea. Coach Porter has been diplomatic, really, because Porter has a big squad, and for him, it's important that our players want to play and compete for places. Yep, that makes sense. Porter would probably not change that status quo. He wouldn't. It's a risk, and some players will feel left out, and then he'd have a problem. Kishan, if you're gonna come in, Bobby, let me bring in Kishan if you can. I know. Thank you so much for finding the time to join because it's going to be two panelists at the time. If you don't mind, Kishan, give me a minute until Bobby makes way, then you can come in.
Yeah. Okay. I can drop if you want.
All right. Thank you so much. And if I need you, I'll reach out, bro, so that we can keep it two panelists at the time. Since Kishan wants to come in, thank you so much. Kishan, hold on until Bobby drops. If it doesn't, you start there because he's an OG here. Let's say length of contract does not stretch a salary. Does not stretch a salary payment. In fact, large salary, long contract is receipt of a recipe for the disaster. I guess that's what you're trying to say. That's that way of thinking is not for success. How many players are for real play for academy? Okay, I'm not sure. From academy. Kishan, nice to have you on the panel. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well.
I'm good. How are you?
Brilliant. I can't complain anytime about any day above ground is a good day. So your thoughts, you want to start with the Mount situation, or do you want to talk about who comes in that seems Reece James will not be available?
Yeah, as far as the Mount situation, it's just bad timing for him. You know, he played well like last 2 seasons prior. But, things change. We have better people in his position, and his contract situation isn't favorable to the club. So it's just a tough cookie, but it is what it is. And as far as the replacement for Reece James, I would put Loftus-Cheek as the wing back. That's why I came on. I wanted to do the lineups with you.
All right, since you're here, we're going to start that in a bit, so stay tuned. In 2020, when we bought Havertz in previous year, Kovacic Mount was asked, what was he going to be given? Let me see, what was he gonna do? Okay, what was he gonna do given that these guys are going to be playing ahead of him? Mount's reply was work harder. That makes sense, but this time I don't think working hard will be enough, really. He's been out of form, which means before he regains form, probably these guys will be seeing a lot more game than him, that he gets frustrated too. But let's see what happens. I like that spirit. This seems to be coming back to him. What goes around comes around. That's another way to phrase it. So let's get into the lineup building exercise. Bobby can come in later and see whether he agrees with the lineup or not. But I think I would have accommodated him, but because it doesn't make sense to bring in somebody goes out and somebody starts the line again coming in one by one when we're building the lineup. So if it's still available, if he comes, I'd make an exception today since we're building the lineup. We all need to be on the panel at the same time. That's by the way. This one here, Mount can still be useful. There are games that we can really use him, but he's not that player. His profile in terms of he's an England international. And if you ask him, he should be starting ahead of those guys that are starting ahead of him right now, even though he's out of form. So I don't think he'd be content with being, playing second fiddle to any player on that team, if that makes sense. But that's, by the way, thank you so much, guys. We have 38 likes. Let's get it to 40, 45, 50, and shoot for 100 by the time the show ends. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. Kishan, the New York guy, let's get into it. The back three, explain for final stats here. I think that's what we believe.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I'm not moving for final.
Okay. And centrally, who do you think starts?
Centrally, I think it's going to be Sheila. I think Koulibaly is going to take a seat for this game.
I don't think so. I don't think Graham Potter will risk it. Yeah. If you play Fofana here, if you play Sheila centrally and play who on the left, let's just go ahead with your suggestion. Go play who on the left.
Cucurella.
then you have all three. They're not the most experienced in the team. So you need that leadership. And that's what Koulibaly brings when he plays centrally. And he's proven he's capable of doing it. We don't have Silva. So playing the three of them, pay attention again. We have a problem here. The two guys, whoever we start here, they're not the best at reading the game, and they're not the best at protecting 1, 2, 3 back line, if that makes sense. So I don't think Badiashile will start centrally. I think Koulibaly will start centrally. Here's where I have a question for you. Just you can think about it in bit while I catch up. If Bobby can come back later and make his opinion known as per this selection, that will be fine. And if he wants to come in now, he can come back in, but probably wants to go get some rest. I think since it's a lineup of selection building exercise, everybody should have stayed on the panel. My mistake, and nobody understand. So you have Koulibaly centrally, which makes sense. He's only one experienced enough to lead that back line. But on the left here is where the problem lies. Who do you select here and why? Let me see what those in the chat are saying. You can work hard much you can, but if you don't have that quality, it's simple. This is New Chelsea. Yeah, quality is everything. Working hard alone won't lead you very far. Badiashile will play over Koulibaly. Over in what sense? Can you elaborate? Kish have a right. Okay, yeah, he does. But we're asking a question. Otherwise, I'll use the poll in the chat. Kukurea, Badiashile, Fofana. Do you think that was going to be the back three tomorrow? But just remember, I told you, most likely, most definitely, Koulibaly starts essentially tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, I trust you, but let's see what happens. When Silva played, KK was on the bench. I think KK starts essentially now. Yep, I don't see if we play Badiashile essentially and Fofana to his right and Kukurea, we don't have an experienced back line. It will be everywhere. You don't change back lines like that. But go ahead, Kishan. I want to get your argument, but let's ask those in the chat so it doesn't look like you said. Also saying you said Badiashile starts centrally, right, Kishan?
Yeah, I got back.
Okay, let me ask those in the chat. So you go ahead and make your argument for the left center back position. Let me ask those in the chat to see what they say.
All right, left center back. Easily, I'm picking Kukurea because I want him to keep that same energy, that same momentum he had last game. I don't want to just sit him on the bench. Like I feel like that's just like all that hard work he just put in. He is not paying off. Like I rather like reward him with another game to show like that he's turned a new leaf. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I put Kukurea on the left.
Hmm.
And
you're putting him on the left, given you've gone with Badiashile essentially, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter if Koulibaly starts. I think we're in a good situation. We have a bunch of defenders that are playing well, exceptionally well right now. So to me, either or. But I just want to see Kukurea keep that consistency and build his confidence up on the line.
Okay, and I'm gonna present my argument as to why I don't think Kukurea starts tomorrow. Just give me 1 second. No, he's not gonna start on there. There's a chance he starts, but it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be in the left center back position, even if he gets a stand. That's at least that's what I think. Koulibaly. Give me 1 second. Okay, there you go. Let's bring in those in the chat. If you're watching, people, thank you for 41 likes. Let's get it to 50 and 100 as soon as possible. So to me, here's Kishan. Here's who I think starts. So let me leave this open so it doesn't look like I'm overriding what you're calculating. And Bobby, if you're watching, if you want to come in, I don't think this will work. Bringing people in one by one because we're building the lineup. Had it been just a normal discussion without such exercise, then it makes sense to bring people in one by one. So if you're available, you can still come in. So, Kishan, let me just leave it like this. So it doesn't seem like I'm overriding your decision, but we agree for the right-hand side, right?
Yeah.
And we agree Kepa here. We agree Enzo as one of the 2 sixes. Let's start Enzo here. So let's just plug him in and wait for those in the chat. Then Enzo, the most likely pairing, I think it will still be Kovacic. But we'll just give those in the chat the opportunity to pick between Kovacic and Denis Zakaria. But we'll see what happens. Here's where we cannot fix this one here until we decide what goes on here. Because if we end up, those in the chat decide to select Badiashile as a guy to start here, then most likely we'll have two players who are capable of starting here, and Inventual and Kukurea. But let's see what they select. Let me get what we have in the chat. When Silver played, yeah, I've read that one. The problem is for back three, you need very good and mobile wing backs. And if you choose to go to back four, you need a very solid CDM. That's the truth. And that is it. But if you're playing with a double pivot, you don't necessarily need a traditional DM, if that makes sense. Let's see. Nice to see you, Lusula. I hope you're doing well. KK experience to mash out the back three. That's how I see it too. But let's given Kishon's the New York guy suggestion. Let's see what those in the chat thinks will happen. Kukurea must play again on left center back. His mentality must grow up too. Here's the argument. I get it. He did very well, but I don't think he'd be playing predominantly in that position going forward for us because we have Badiashile, who is traditionally a left center back player, and Badiashile also, who's he's not in the Champions League squad, and he's played well, really well in the Premier League. So it doesn't make any sense to tell him, okay, you know what, because Kukurea played well in the Champions League, you have to drop to the bench so that we can accommodate Kukurea in that left back position, which means you're not rewarding his performance. It's shown you and how good he's played. Some people are actually saying, oh my goodness, why didn't we add him to the Champions League squad? You get that argument right now.
Yeah.
So
I hear what you're saying with that part, but the thing is, just because Kukurea is like run a bad form, like it's been a while. So like as soon as we see like a good performance like this, for him personally, I just want to see him sticking what's working for him right now. Mm-hmm. So I will put him there again, and maybe later on in the game, put in Badiashile or something, and put him on the left side to take off Chilwell or something like that. Like I just want him there because it was working for him, and he's building his confidence there. So it's not like an every game thing.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's why I'm saying he's not going to play there predominantly, really. But the same goes for Badiashile also. You want to see the manager reward his performance. He hasn't actually put a foot wrong, and it will frustrate the life out of him if he doesn't start that game tomorrow. I hope he starts, but I'm sure he starts. But I'm sure he's going to start on the left, in the left center back position. But let's see what goes in. I'm going to check the vote in a bit. Here we have. I will do that too. Start, Mr. Trust the process, Kukurea. Really, Kukurea must start again. Let's see what happens. Ground Potter will shock all of you. Mr. Trust the process. Yep, his campaign to get a place in the squad, and he worked. I would suggest to keep Badiashile to the left so that he develops better there. And even though he's still developing, all the games he's played, he's been excellent, really. So he deserves to start tomorrow in that position. Kukurea will be, more of a wing-back player for us than the left center-back. But we had no option than to play him there tomorrow, in the game, in the Champions League game. And he did quite well. No, he must start on same position because of his confidence after months of criticism. That's a solid argument too. But you could argue the same for. You could also come up with present the argument that Ground Potter needs to reward performance because Badiashile has done quite well. But Coach Kukurea is more of a sweeper, right? Yeah, that's the truth. Who is he going to sweep? Vardy. Jeremy Vardy don't need sweeping. I'm just saying, but I get your argument there. Let's see what happens. I think we need defense. I think of the two playing in that position, I think Badiashile will be the most solid of the two, really. And I think they will target Kukurea tomorrow, knowing that he's always he's everywhere on the pitch. Coach, I said Badiashile with Kukurea. Okay, I remember you said that. We'll see what happens tomorrow. There's no charity. Best for team, both good for someone. Yep, I agree with that. What else we have here? Kuku feels safety now on that position. Just from a single game, really, and that will give you, and that will help him build his confidence. Let me just phrase that one. Because Chile is injury prone. He should be rested and play Kukuraya and Badiashile. That's a solid argument. Chile should be rested, but also there's an argument that you should play Chile too to continue regaining his form, because he showed that he's getting closer and closer to showing the form, that excellent form that he showed before he sustained that a long-time injury. So that's where I see Badiashile here and Kukuraya getting the chance playing in the left wing back position. But we'll see. We'll see what the manager does. So let me look at what we have in the chat. The vote there. Probably we have how many votes? 14 votes, and 64% thinks it's Koulibaly. So what do you think? The New York guy, I think, yeah, Koulibaly wins. If you want to look at it before you speak, you go ahead. So yeah.
No, I'm good with that.
Okay, let's go with it. So which means for this place, which means for the left center back position, most likely if this happens, it's going to be what's his name, Badiashile. Or do you think we should ask those in the chat too?
Yeah, you can put Badiashile in. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Kukuraya will start at the wing back, and then so Chilwell can get some rest, or he can come in later on if we need him. But
yeah, but let's ask those in the chat. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not really fully confident in Kukuraya going forward right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I know he did well in the Champions League, but I don't think he starts there tomorrow. But we'll see. The Premier League is a different game altogether. But here now we have two options here now. We have Kukuraya and Ben Chilwell. So I'm going to ask those in the chat, but I want to get your argument. Who do you think pairs Enzo Fernandez in this in the 2-6 position? I'm waiting for your thoughts.
Me personally, I want to see Enzo and Zakaria together. But I mean, Potter wants to win games, so he's gonna put the tried and true Kovacic in there. But I still want to see Zakaria and Enzo play together.
But do you think that's what's good? What do you think Potter will do?
He's gonna put Kovacic.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So let's say left wing back. I'm coming. Left wing back. Let's get the thought. We have two players there now. We have Ben Chilwell. We have Ben Chilwell, and then we have Kukuraya. Let's see what to do. So I feel like it was a mistake not letting Bobby drop, because this exercise, it's not the one where you finish one person and then you bring one person in, the other person in, and start asking them what they think about it, making sense. So we should have stayed, but we're never going to do a lineup building exercise in the evening another time. But let's see. Okay, here on the right hand side here for you, we have multiple options here. There's a chance also, and even here, that's a chance Christian Pulisic starts here. But I know Thomas Tuchel have tried that, but I don't. Graham Potter hasn't done that with him. If he has, I think he's done that with Raheem Sterling rather.
Yeah.
Has he? Yeah. So we don't know what he's going to do here. Sterling isn't available, but there's a chance he tries that with Christian Pulisic. But let's see what happens. So here I'm thinking, most likely Kovacic, and in the last two games he's done well, really. But I have a problem. Two of them are two, the 2-6s are two players who like to be more adventurous on the pitch and not be disciplined. And none of them likes to be charged with the responsibility of staying disciplined, while the other becomes, adventures forward more. But let's see what he does tomorrow. But that's you can argue that's how Graham Potter likes to play with 2-6s. He doesn't like to play with your stereotypical 6s. He wants more fluidity. He wants two players who are capable of orchestrating an attack and move forward. Even if they move in unison, it doesn't matter to him. I don't think an argument as to having one of them being more disciplined than the other, I don't think it does that from my observation. But let's see what happens. Because Chile injury, I've read that one, and this one says, let's go for Mbappe, and we don't need nothing more. Yeah, we've talked about that 1,000 times. I agree with Kish adopting Kuku's forward. Let's see. Porter will give Kovacic captain, starts him in, watch Kova play well again. Yep, he's done well. So why bring in Zakaria now? So I don't see Zakaria starting tomorrow. And it's not like you can say Kova has played too many games and he needs a rest. If anything, he's still gaining match fitness. I don't think he's fully fit, really. Again, Captain Kova is like a performance beacon, rallying others to perform well. It looks like since he's been given that opportunity to be the captain, it just seems that that has actually it just you could say
gave him like a
it
second
looks like
line.
it's sorry.
Gave him like a second wind or something.
Yeah, it looks like he has given him a second wing. Actually, he's doing more. He's taking more responsibility on the pitch, and I like to see that. Good move by Graham Potter. It looks like Graham Potter's emotional intelligence is paying off really, finding a way to get these players to perform. Enzo is a warrior with counter attacks, like a real Argentine pitbull. And with his vision and long balls of me, he's a perfect DMF on CM. He is not even close to players like Pedri or Bellingham. In your opinion, I don't know if you ever watched Enzo before. Maybe that he is a CM, right? Look, I've watched him. But I think he's well equipped to do more for us if you give him the independence to venture forward more rather than be the more defensive of the 2 6s, which I think Graham Potter has done on occasion. But I'm not quite sure because Graham Potter, I don't know everything about his approach to the game yet. I'm still learning quite a lot to learn. So people think Ben Chilwell starts over 13 votes. Thinks Ben Chilwell starts over Kukurea in this position. Well, it's just an exercise. Let's see what happens. What do you think? Do you see that happening tomorrow, Keshawn?
Yeah, I see Chilwell playing. Like our wing backs are like the engine to our like offense, pretty much. So yeah, we need Chilwell and Reece. Well, Reece isn't playing, but yeah, we need at least one of them out there.
So who do you think starts in the right wing back position?
Like I said before, I said Loftus-Cheek. I think he's gonna play over there.
Yep, I'm gonna ask those in the chat to see who they think starts there. And here's where we have a problem here. I'm gonna start you to make an argument who starts here as a right forward because that's what it is given this structure. I don't know if he's gonna try to accommodate the 10 and do some like a 3-4-1-2 to accommodate a 10 on 8, or whether he do 3-4-2-1. We're not sure what he's going to do, but let's go with 3-4-3, which is the structure of that's at least what we see on the screen as the structure being played. But if you pay good attention, you'd see it's not that easy to fathom what structure we're playing really. But just by the way, let me ask those in the chat to see who they think plays here. I think it's going to be Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but let me ask them. But your argument, Keshawn, who plays here? We have Loftus-Cheek, Hakim Ziyech. Who else? Cesar Spilicueta, we didn't hear whether he's out or available for the game. He can also play there. But your thoughts are, who do you think plays there?
Yeah, I think Loftus-Cheek's always a solid player on the wing back positions. I think like you can't like he's bend but don't break. You know, like he doesn't do like exceptionally great, but he doesn't do like poor. You know, so. Yeah, I would put Loftus over there.
You don't think it will be Azpilicueta? We don't know how ready he is, and you don't think it's going to be Ziyech?
Nah, I can see more Ziyech than Aspie right now. I don't know. Is Aspie able to play? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if he's out because the manager didn't say specifically whether he's available or not. But I doubt whether he's going to be available. But your thoughts, I want to know.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Potter likes the Loftus-Cheek. I think he's gonna put him up there,
and he will fulfill that role better than Cesar Spilicueta can. If it was, let's say, if we're talking about the right back position, like the full back position, then fine. But in the right wing back position, I think Potter likes players who are capable of overloading the midfield and the attacking area. Because it's not with this role under Graham Potter. It's not with defensive intent. It's with attacking intent. That's what most people don't understand. So that's why I think most likely he will be Loftus-Cheek. If it's not Loftus-Cheek, then maybe what's his name, Hakim Ziyech start there. But I think it will most likely be what's his name? It will most likely be Loftus-Cheek. Let's see what those in the chat have to say. Yes, Chilwell and Reece engines What do we have? RLC is a favorite of Potter. I think he's executed that role quite well. I just don't want to see him anywhere in the deep line midfield role. It's not his thing. RLC is always at least a solid and right wing back. So I agree. And don't forget the perfect game on. But he was excellent. He was excellent on the Thomas Circle. RLC is a defense work rate. I'm not. His team. The reason I don't like to see him play centrally as one of the 2-6s, he doesn't read the game well. He only does well defensively when he's able to see you coming, and it has to do with pace and power, and to meet you, maybe deal with you in terms of physicality, muscle you off the ball, or in terms of catching up with you and tackling and make sure he gets the ball. That's when he does well. But he doesn't read the game that well to say, you can say that he's capable of protecting the back way, if that makes sense. But I get what you're saying there. Enzo is on another level. Got to give Chile a rest, bro. Koulibaly, Fofana, and Badiashile with Kuku. Come on, you Blues. Got to manage these guys. What happened to Chalobah, I seriously do not know. But I've come to learn it doesn't look like Graham Potter trusts him. And that's not a good sign for him. His Chelsea future. Front three, surprise from Potter, Mudryk, Fofana, and Noni, possibly. But I think in that case, we're going to have to get those in the chat to vote. You were going to say something, Kishan. Go ahead.
No, I said it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's going to be a change in the front three. Maybe Sterling goes out. But I think Havertz is definitely staying up top after his last performance.
Mm-hmm. So let's see what happens here. People in the chat, how many votes? 12 votes. They think it's going to be lost to Chicken. I think that's what it's going to be. But there's a chance he starts the end there. I think he's played him there before. But let's see what he does. I don't know. In my YouTube shots predictor lineup, I think he's going to start. I think he's going to rest. I was thinking he was going to rest Felix. But now that Raheem Sterling isn't available, I think he will end up starting Felix. So I'm seeing maybe here's why I think he's not going to rest Kai Havertz. Felix doesn't press well. Kishan, are you listening to me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, Felix doesn't press well. So starting Felix essentially here will be a problem. Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to rest Felix also. Because he needs someone here who does a lot of running and presses very well. And Kai Havertz has been the only guy capable of providing that in the absence of Mason Mount. So I think who starts in the central position, number 9, center forward position, most likely will be Kai Havertz. So I don't see the possibility of him resting Kai. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm not a big fan of Kai Havertz, but especially after last game, yeah, he's definitely up top.
Yeah, because Felix doesn't press well, really. So let me ask those in the chat. That's how we're going to. So on the left-hand side, I think Mudryk starts this one, especially now because the absence of what's his name, the absence of Raheem Sterling makes room for one of the wingers to come in. Maybe he decides he's not going to go with one of the wingers. Maybe he decides to go with Mason Mount or Conor Gallagher, who's also played in the 8. Yeah, maybe. Who's also, again, 2 of which have played as one of the 2 8s on occasions. That's a chance he does that. Yeah. I'm not sure what he's going to do, really. But let's just go with let me ask those in the chat. So who do you think starts on the left-hand side if it's a flat front three like this? Who do you think starts on the left?
On the left side, I'm going with Mudryk as well.
But why do you think Mudryk gets a chance?
I think he's going to get a chance because he hasn't been playing, in a little while. They have to get him acclimated to like the league and stuff like that. And I know you can do that in training as well, but there's nothing better than like the actual game time.
Unfortunately, even though I would really like to accommodate Conor Chukwuemeka, but I don't really know where he fits in this team until I see him play like a full 90 minutes or so. Then yeah, the day he started, I think there was so much confusion from all the players on the pitch. we weren't sure where he was really supposed to be playing. Same thing as Mudryk and Mason Mount also. But I need time to understand where Conor Chukwuemeka really fits in this team. But from what I've seen so far, I think it's more of an 8 than a deep line midfielder. But let's see what happens. Hope Mudryk gets at the start. Come on, you Blues. It's time now to unleash. Yep, I think you do well tomorrow, but let's see what happens. I don't even trust a Chalobah on the bench.
That's crazy.
Chalobah for right wing back. No, I don't think he'll be able. You need more. I don't think he's well equipped to fulfill that role. Let's say fullback, like the right back position. Yeah, but this you're required to help overload the midfield area, the attacking area. It's a very dynamic role. I don't think he's capable of. He's not well equipped to fulfill that role, in my opinion. Felix Havertz and Mudryk essentially, and let's find out who's center forward there. Felix will not accept rest, especially after we put him out of the game. I'm not sure. We're saying that Kai needs to go, so Potter will likely stick with Kai. Let's see if Felix Havertz have to stop there the challenge of hitting the goalpost. I think that's another way to phrase it, man. But that shows you they're doing the right thing. They're doing everything right, but probably not just quite lucky. To me, the signs are, I think, we're seeing a little improvement. At least we scored 2 goals. It doesn't matter how the goals went into the back of the net. The good thing is that the two of those goals count of goals. They both count as goals, which means it's a confidence booster for the players. Unfortunately, one of the goal scorers will not be playing tomorrow. Let me ask you this, Keshawn. How important those 2 goals do you think would be for the boys going forward in terms of scoring goals?
Very important, especially for Kai. If he missed that second penalty, oh my gosh, I don't even know how he would have felt after that. But so yeah, those goals are very important for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, had he missed that second penalty, it would have been difficult for him to come back from that, because already they were all the players were all on low on confidence already. If such happens, it would have been difficult to come back from it. Felix long fee for around 17 games is big. I think he also starts. Which means here's the thing: if Felix is going to start tomorrow and Kai is going to start tomorrow, which means that we can only accommodate one of Mudryk and Noni Madueke. But let's see, those in the chat thinks, wow, it's 50-50, 12 votes. Felix or Havertz who starts centrally. I think Havertz most likely starts centrally. Graham Potter likes the way he pressed and trusts him. And the way he spoke of him shows he sees more to what he has to contribute on the pitch than most people do. But let's see. Let's see what we have here. Felix starts. Traditionally, we tend to run Lonis into the ground, except Saul. Of course, yeah, he didn't play that much. We should have just buried him in the ground. Oh my goodness! The big up, brother. 3-4-2-1. You think it's gonna be JC? It's difficult to say. Maybe let's go with 3-4-2-1.
I don't know. I feel like against Dortmund, they're kind of like interchanging. Like one will go in, the others were like out. I feel like it was more like a fluid, like 2-1.
So if that's the case, then it must have been something like this. I need to watch that game again and pay attention to the structure. But I think he'd rather do maybe. Let's see. Go ahead with what you were saying.
Oh no, that's it. I was just saying it's gonna be, I think, a fluid approach up top, like how it works.
Let's see how many votes Havertz sent. I think 16 votes. Thinks 56% thinks Havertz starts as a centre forward. I think he most likely will start there. I'd be surprised if I see someone else. Remember, we still have Dacho Fofana. But I doubt if he gives him a chance tomorrow. I think he's banking more on the experienced players to help him get results, and they haven't disappointed. So they'll most likely go with Havertz here, like those in the chat picked. So Havertz there on the left. Yeah. So Felix, the last time didn't he start on the right?
Nah, I think
No.
he started on the
Sterling
left.
was on the right.
Yeah, Felix is on the left.
But Felix can play either on the right or on the left.
Yeah.
So we're not sure who the manager accommodates tomorrow. I'd say he's gonna start Felix here. I think it's making sense now. He probably will not start. He probably not. It's not gonna start Mudryk, given his comment. Given he's practically saying Mudryk needs time, but there's a chance we'll see him tomorrow. Seeing him doesn't mean he start. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking that Pulisic might get a start. Actually,
I don't think he's fully fit.
I mean, he played last game.
Yeah, how many minutes? When did he come on?
He came on, what was like 70th or 60th? I don't really remember. I think there was some time.
Let me check. Let me check how long he stayed on the pitch on this game here. When did Christian Pulisic come on? Let's see. You see that? He came in the 84th minute. So I don't think he's fully fit or fit enough to start games right now. Yeah. So here's where there's some thinking. We need to do some thinking here, because here the way it is now, Felix will most likely start on the left. I don't see him moving him around too much and say moving him from the left hand side to the right hand side again, which means Mudryk probably won't see space to start, except if Graham Potter rests Kai Havertz, of which I don't see that happening, because Felix doesn't press as much as Kai Havertz press. He doesn't do much running as Kai Havertz does. So probably Kai starts here, but we don't know. Graham Potter is very unpredictable, really. So the right hand side is where the space, which means the space now for Madueke. I don't. Maybe. Let's say. Let me just add those in the chart. Second, let me just call it second 8 since we're going with 3-4-2-1. Let's do with the second 8. Let me call it second 8 and add those in the chart. I think honestly I'd rather go with Noni Madueke, but I think we'll possibly most likely see Ziyech tomorrow. But let me ask this in the chart.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's count Potter. Yep. Let's see what goes in the chart.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. And we have a lot of players. Mason Mount is out, so he's not going to be available. Gallagher is available. Okay, Ziyech. Then we have Madueke. Who else can play there, actually? Do we have any other person that can come in and play there? Okay, I don't remember any other person. So let me ask those in the chat. Let's see what they select for that one. Madueke, Gallagher, Ziyech. Here's one thing. I think he will find a way to accommodate Gallagher tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Gallagher will come on later on in the game, though. I think, like he used Gallagher, I think, fine last match. He just came in as energy to run around and kind of just run everyone off. So I think Potter knows what he gets with Gallagher. So I think he knows how and when to use him. And that's definitely not in the starting lineup.
Yep. Let me see where we stopped here. This one, says, did Potter not say James is ill? Yeah. We're not. That's why you don't see James yet. That's why we're not considering James. And Sterling has little pain. That's why we're not considering Sterling. That's why we're leaving. See the options in the poll here is Ziyech, Gallagher, and Madueke for the second 8, because if it is structured, then it's most likely 2-8 and this guy here. And Mudryk can actually play here, but it remains to be seen whether he's going to rest Felix. If he feels like Felix will be more effective than Mudryk won't get a chance. But let's see what he does tomorrow. But from his comments, it doesn't look like Mudryk starts tomorrow. Felix is always a Potter for sub. So he was angry after sub. He will be angry if Potter decides to rest him. If he starts showing such behavior now, then Chelsea will end up not signing him. It's the same. They always are around in the attack. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope we have proper motivation after Dortmund. It can be draining. I hope so. Yeah, possibly Pulisic. I've forgotten, but he's not going to start. He played just about 12 minutes the last game. I don't think he starts this one. Possibly may get a few minutes from the bench, but Potter doesn't start players after return from injury, especially brittle players. Yeah, and I think that's a better way to phrase it. We must get depth with Mudryk and his running. Let's see, Havertz can also play right side. Yep, he can also play here. But who do you? So if Havertz maybe starts here, if Havertz is going to start on the right hand side as one of the 2-8, which means you will see Dr. Fofana here because he needs somebody that runs a lot and that presses very well. And I think Fofana is still young and can also press very well if he's charged to do so during games. But let's see what Graham Potter does. With Felix as false nine, I don't see him playing Felix there. He doesn't press well.
He doesn't press. He gets. I think he gets gassed pretty. I mean, he's been playing every game since suspension, so he's been getting gassed pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him pressing. Nah.
Yeah. So let's see what happens tomorrow. And the top three are very fluid. They are very fluid. So yeah, but usually you still see in terms of pressing the defense or the goalkeeper. Usually Kai will be the one at the pivot there. If that at the pinnacle, or should I say, very top press and not pivot, so to speak, if that makes sense. I think it's still important for the person here to be able to run very well and press very well, and you will not get that from Felix. So I'm not sure how, which means you see Kai, he does a lot of running, and before we get to the 78th minute, he usually fizzles out of games. Surprisingly, he looks very sharp till the end of the game against Dortmund. Gallagher got sent off in the reverse fixture. Please no. Oh yeah, was that one? Was that the game he got sent off? Oh yeah. Mudryk, Felix and Havertz. Okay, let's see what happens tomorrow. To me, I'm not too sure Mudryk starts tomorrow, and he's practically made a public excuse. Given that you could say a pre-excuse for that for benching Mudryk. So that's by the way. I think we're done with the exercise, and I don't think we'll be doing the lineup building exercise on the evening shows anymore. I think this is a show where it needs to be one panelist at a time, two panelists at a time. But in the lineup building exercise, we should have more people. And unfortunately, Bobby dropped off for me to accommodate Keshawn, the New York guy. And by the time I realized we should just make an exception and have more people on the panel to build the lineup today, Bobby probably had already gone and probably asleep right now. At least right here, which one right here? Oh, this one here. Mudryk, Felix, and Havertz. So in this case, I think probably Havertz centrally and Felix to the right hand side. But let's see what Graham Potter does. Like Roger would say, he's predictably unpredictable. I've looked at that. Kai starts on the trigger. If Felix is up front, he will. Okay, let's see. If you're in the chat, I think anything else you want to say with regards to the lineup? How about you, Keshawn? Anything else you want to say before we call it a day?
Yeah, I hope I get to see Mudryk in there against Leicester. I don't think Leicester's defense is good at all. So
They're everywhere.
Yeah, so the best time to play this kid to build his confidence up is against Leicester. So why not? That's about it.
Yeah, the Leicester defense has been everywhere, especially in the absence of what's the former Manchester United player? Is it Johnny Evans? Yeah, I think it's Johnny Evans. He's injured. Let me see. Not this guy's here. Let me go to our games. Let's look here. Yeah, if you're in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Johnny Evans did play for Manchester United. Johnny Evans. Muscle injury. They're not sure he's going to start, so there's a chance he starts too, but most likely he won't start. Bertrand, mid-March, former Chelsea man. Yuri Tillisman, mid-April. I'm glad he's not playing. It doesn't He seemed to be prime Ronaldinho whenever he plays against Chelsea. Harvey Baines, this guy, he's a fighter. He shows a lot of spirit whenever he's on the pitch. He's not the most technically gifted, but he's quick. And actually, on his day, he's a fine finisher. But that's by the way. Let's see. Leicester City miss Fofana. They miss Soyuncu also. And Soyuncu, they sold him, right? Then this new guy here, Faiz, or how do you pronounce his name, is an own goal machine.
Oh, man.
You know who I'm talking about, right? I don't know how you pronounce his name. That guy that looks like David Luiz.
No, I don't know his name. Let me look.
Yeah, he is an own goal machine. I think he scored 2 comical own goals since he joined Leicester City. But that's, by the way, Kishon, I want to say thank you for finding the time to join me on the panel. And Bobby, I think I would have let you stay. Well, maybe we'll make an exception today because it's a lineup building exercise. I get it. It was supposed to be 2 panelists at the time, but when it's lineup exercise, we have to have more people. Thank you so much for finding the time to join, Kishon. I cannot thank you enough, brother. Let's see. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think he scored 2 awful own goals. And Soyuncu is no longer with them. I think he led the back line well. Soyuncu led when Morgan, what's his first name? When the Jamaican international, I think I don't know how his case ended, whether he left, whether he retired or not. I don't remember. He was a good leader for them at the back. When he left, Soyuncu stepped up a bit, but he wasn't the perfect leader either. Their defense has been everywhere, really. But now they lack leadership. If you pressure them, they make a lot of mistakes. So if you're on the chat, let me know your thoughts on the lineup. Would you have done anything different? I really want to call it a day so I can go pick up my boy from school. But thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you finding time to join the show. Let's see if we have anything else. Thank you to Eugene Naughty. Thank you to Brianu, the 343 Diamond. Thank you so much, brother. They had a defender from Manchester United. I think that's that defender. I think you're talking about Johnny Advance. Didn't he play for Manchester United? I think he did. On the Sir Alex Ferguson actually before he left. I think so. I think Johnny Advance played for Manchester United. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, Eugene Naughty. My bro, the 343 dialogue, nice to see you. JC, much love to you. The Blue Tip again, much love to you too, brother. Thomas Bates, much love. Who else? Mesole, much love to you. Lusula, much love to you. And if I missed your name, apologies, I'm only human. I hope to see you guys next time. God bless us all and bye.